Coming to you from the Yard Dawgs Podcast studio. A show for the fans, by the fans. Talking all things Cleveland Browns. From our mic to your ears. With your hosts, Jason Hand, Mikey P, and Ian Cold Train Coldiron.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
Yes, you are now in the yard, and welcome to the Yard Dawgs Podcast, the show for the fans, by the fans. This is Season 3, Episode 106. I'm your host, Jason Hand. The Yard Dawgs Podcast is brought to you by Network 216. To check out all of our Ohio sports content, subscribe to our Network 216 YouTube channel. And joining me tonight, better than ever, my co-hosts, Mikey P and Ian Cold Train Cold Iron. Brothers, how we doing tonight?
Feeling good, man.
Yeah.
It's a winning Tuesday. We haven't had one of those since Halloween. It feels good, man, and we need more. You crave it and you want it. You remember that scene in Scrooge with Bill Murray when he's like, when you need it and you want it, and then you want it, and then you gotta have it. That's what I feel like with winning. You gotta want it, and you gotta need it, and you want to have it.
And we got it against the GOAT too, Tom Brady. You gotta love that.
Yeah, we went 0 for 3 too as well. We all picked against the Browns, and what I talked about last week on the show, it was going to be a win-win or a lose-win for us. If we lost the contest, who cares? We all lost a point, but obviously the main gain was the Browns. I mean, yeah, man, it's definitely been a great week. I think you get so used to losing. I thought Njoku was going to drop that pass myself. So just, when he caught it, I think we all said at home, well, wait a minute. We might just do something here. And then the whole outcome changed. So
when he caught that, I ironically was like, I got a wild hair up my ass. I'm like, he's going to go for 2. And he didn't, which was surprised me.
I was calling for it, dude. In my head, I'm like, go for 2. But thank God he didn't. But maybe we would have got it anyway.
Yeah, we'll never know. But
yeah. Well, I've had something on my mind. We just went against the GOAT, Tom Brady, and a lot's been said about his age. We have a listener and a viewer, Jeff. He's a friend of the show, a friend of the network, great guy. But Mikey P, you know this. Ian, I'm not sure if you know this, but he calls us the Old Man Show. The Old Man Show.
Not the man show, the old version from Comedy Central, but old man show.
Old man show. And, he's got a point. So in the 216 network, there's a lot of shows in the network, and a lot of these guys are young. And Ian, you skewed the numbers, buddy. I did the math in my head. So Mikey P's 43. I'm 47. The average age of all three of us, because you're 36, is 42. So I don't know if you consider that old. I personally don't, because I'm 47. So I definitely skew it the other way. Coltrane, you skew it the right way. So Jeff, if you're listening to this, man, I don't think we're the old man show. 42 is not old. That's our average age.
I call it like Salt Bay. We're seasoned, baby. Seasoned.
We're seasoned. Yeah, I've got the gray in my beard. Mikey, I've seen you in person like 3 times. You have little gray, but it is coming, buddy.
It's coming. It's creeping.
Yeah.
It's creeping.
But I think there's a lot of positives to being older. They say you're more wise. That's why you have the gray hair. Wise has not hit me yet. No one's ever accused me of being wise, but maybe that comes at 48. I don't know. I have a whole year to prepare for that. But let's get into some housekeeping. The Yard Dawgs Podcast and Network 216 are proud partners with Homage, the apparel company. If you haven't tried Homage, you are definitely missing out. Homage is always coming out with on-point, cutting-edge apparel, not just sports apparel. Oh, no. They have many. You also have your sweet holiday collection that Homage has. It's the holidays right now. All of our favorite movies are accounted for, such as Christmas Story, Home Alone, Elf, which we just saw this past weekend, Die Hard, Jingle All the Way. Showing holiday class or support for your favorite team does not have to cost an arm and a leg. Shop Homage today. You can find the link on our website, www.network216ohio.com, or you can look for the Homage link on our Twitter page at Yard Dawgs Pod. Shop Homage today. Fellas, I am wearing my Myles Garrett Homage shirt. It's awesome. He was awesome this past Sunday, with that sack to end Tom Brady's drive. We're going to talk about this game, but Myles Garrett definitely had a great day. I know he wanted to have a great day. It wasn't a good look last week. He was sitting all alone on the bench, but I'm supporting our man Myles Garrett. And what do you got on there, Ian?
I had to support the lineman, man. Nick Chubb got the game-winning TD to end the GOAT's reign in Cleveland. And I had to support Teller and Batonio, man. Support my O-line. I love these NFL Jam shirts, man. They got a bunch of these, and they even do it for pro wrestling too. And it's just a cool stuff that Homage puts out, man, for real.
That was your Yard Dog of the Week last week, wasn't it, Mikey P, the O-line?
The O-line, yeah. And,
yeah.
I thought they did their thing.
They did their thing. At times it was kind of suspect, but, at the end of the day, they opened up the holes for Nick Chubb and protected Jacoby Brissett, and we got the W. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to also preview this week's matchup. Deshaun Watson era begins in Cleveland against the Houston Texans in Houston. So we're going to talk about that game. If you're listening to us on our YouTube page, welcome. I'm seeing some comments rolling in. Christopher says, "Go Browns. Here again, my brother." What do you say? Read that. I'm an old man.
Go Browns. Here again, my brother Ian. That's Chris Landon, man. He runs the Mid-Ohio Flag Football League out in Mansfield, man. Good friend of mine. Good Browns fan. Another guy, him and his brother Caleb, been watching the Browns for years, dude, watching the misery, and definitely a good friend of mine, friend of the show. So appreciate you watching, Chris.
Thanks for checking in, Christopher. Chris, yes. Let's get into some news and notes. Last week, Ian, Mikey, we talked about this with the David Njoku comment, the positive. He was very positive with Mary Kay Cabot. And don't get me wrong, I like Mary Kay Cabot. She's a Hall of Fame, or she's just got inducted to the Hall of Fame for reporting. But last week, she asked David Njoku if he felt like he owed Deshaun Watson an apology for our record and the type of team that we're turning over to Deshaun Watson. And David Njoku basically told her, look, how many games are left? Our season's not over. Well, there was a sideline reporter, I don't know if you guys saw this after the game, that basically asked the question in a different way, but his response was positive. And he's like, look, I don't know where this all is coming from, but our season's not over. We're not buying into that. We just had a tremendous win, and we're on to Houston now. So what do you guys think about David Njoku? I definitely like the positivity and the swag that he's showing. And he's not only saying it, but Ian, as you pointed out, we saw it on the football field with that left-handed, one-handed grab in the back of the end zone to send us into overtime. It was a fourth down play, by the way, too.
Yeah, I think everyone's been waiting for Njoku to come on like that. But I think it's not even just Njoku, man, that stems from with Mary Kay. They've been getting a lot of heat, man. Defense, Joe Woods, Njoku, all of them. I don't know if you saw the video with Clowney, and our friend Perrion Winfrey was also in the background. I don't know why he was even speaking out, but he was there with Clowney. But all of these guys are saying the same thing, the same trend of, we're here. You don't believe? We're going to keep going. And for once as a fan, this is the stuff. This isn't Baker Mayfield BS that's just talking to talk. They won, and they backed it up with a legit, hey, we're here. We're not going anywhere. They didn't say this, but they were thinking it. We got Watson, biting at the bit here to get in on the field. He's going to give us a whole different, direction. They know this guy. They know these teams coming up are weaker. They know this. So yeah, man, like they're fired up, man. I love to see it. For once, we saw players giving feedback, like Njoku and all these dudes, like, hey, you know, don't quit on us yet. You know, and I know a lot of us fans, even on this show, man, weeks ago, I told you I was on suicide watch, man. I mean, this team was just absolutely awful to watch, and it's like it's good to feel and good to like believe again, at least for another week, right, guys?
Yes,
at
one
least
more week
for another week, one game at a time.
That's right.
So,
Mikey P, you pointed this out in our group chat, and I couldn't believe this is weird news to me. So Deshaun Watson's accusers and Tony Busby will be in attendance in Houston. They have a private suite. I guess Tony Busby must have coordinated it with the owner of the Houston Texans, I'm guessing, right? But does that give a good – I mean, that's kind of a weird thing, right? Mikey P, I'll start with you because you're the one who showed me this news.
I mean – it's a weird thing. And I even saw, you know, I don't like commenting or posting on there because, you know, I as a male, you know, I don't want to come out and somebody say, you know, I'm misogynistic or anything like that. But, and I can't tell an accuser how they should react. But any person that's been a victim of, and I saw a lot of, not support, but tweets coming from females on Twitter that said things like they didn't understand this. Like this seemed like an attention, like look at me type of thing, and not. I mean, I've heard stories of you know women that were victims of sexual assault, you know, in the courtroom, not even being able to look at their accuser or the person that was accused or their assaulter and stuff like that. And it just seems like it's just Tony Busby. He's not in it for the rights to make someone feel better. He is solely in it. It's a cash grab. He's a money guy. That's what he's there for. And some, you know, I saw some of the quotes, you know, some of the accusers said that, you know, they were still not over it. So they feel like going to the game on Sunday, you know, helps them give some closure. And some feel like there still should be an ongoing, civil suit, or this should be ongoing. It shouldn't have ended so soon. And I'm like, well, why did you settle? That's what I'm saying. Why did you settle? Like, if you feel passionately about something, let it all out. Don't settle like that. It just doesn't look good. And this whole thing, like, you know, showing up to the game and you're in a private suite, like it's just another, you know, when people said that, you know, Busby was in McNair's pocket, and I'm like, they're going to show up at a suite of the team that they also sued in civil suits. The Texans were sued in the civil suits too. So it's like, I don't know. It doesn't pass the smell test for me.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a bad look, really. Like it looks like, and the way Busby, like it's just like, I'm back in the news. Look at me. Like. This guy is a true attention whore. That's what he is. He's an attention whore. And that's what most lawyers are. Most lawyers, pretty sketchy.
Yeah, I guess one of the things I don't understand, and I'm definitely not a lawyer, I'm not really up on law and everything, but the fact that they settled this, like, to me, that should be the end of the story. I don't get why he's trying to bring it to light. And I understand, like, Deshaun Watson, it is a big deal. He's coming back from a long suspension. It's been a long, dragged-out process, and this is going to be his first game, and you can't make this kind of stuff up. Like, it's in Houston against his former team that he played for. He hasn't played quarterback since he was with the Houston Texans. And for Tony Busby to shine a spotlight on the accusers, like, I don't know. It's a weird thing to think about, and it's weird to talk about, actually. It's kind of uncomfortable to even talk about it. But, Ian, I'm interested to get your thoughts on this. And we can't hear you. But
oh, I'm sorry. For me, it was, I had my mic off. I was shocked in general just because I'm with you, Jason. The situation is a little shocking to me, just because, for one, I don't know anything about sexual stuff like this or anything like that. I've never been in a situation like that. But to me, to go to a football game in the public eye, everyone knows why you're there. Like, it just doesn't seem like someone that was actually, like, this happened to, like, that would be like the action they would do, But I'm not going to judge anybody. Like, it is what it is. And even a quote that came out was like, "You thought we were done, and we're still here." And I understand, like, they have a message to portray, but I'm with Mikey a little bit. It seems more of like a sideshow circus at this point. And I got to tell you, it's not just us that believe this. On Twitter, I wrote a lot because I was just curious myself. Usually people take these kind of stories and they hate on Cleveland. They roast Cleveland. That's another reason they're like, oh, Cleveland and their, horrible quarterback, whatever. But this was a situation where I would probably say about 90% of the comments I read was all signifying what Mikey was saying about, like, a slime ball attorney. What's this guy doing? Like, everyone was just like, some people were just saying this is weird. And I guess I would answer your question with that, Jason. Like, I don't want to speak on, I don't ever want to come off a certain way, when it comes to this type of situations. But I would just say it's weird. It's weird. It's very weird and odd that a group of people would come with this guy. And he, like you said, he has to make this a big publicity stunt, let everyone know he's there. Look, man, we get it. You were paid. You're a gazillionaire. Your clients were paid, and the accusers were paid. To me, it's just that one extra effort as to, like, they're almost like wanting Deshaun to do horrible and like hurt himself. And that's just where it's a whole nother conversation and category. But yeah, it's just, to me, it was just upsetting just because I really was, as a Browns fan, was hoping we were behind the Busby type stuff. But unfortunately, like, here he goes again, like Mikey's, talking of, it's like an opportunity for him to get his name out there. I'll protect you, blah, blah, blah. And it just seems more Busby related than accusers and all that situation. And that's what's just unfortunate for Deshaun, just unfortunate for the situation in general. So those are my thoughts.
I mean, it's going to be an intense environment in Houston on Sunday. I don't think anyone's denying that. You're going to have the fans, you're going to have protesters, you're going to have, I mean, the Houston Texans are going to be fired up for this game. They're going to play better than their record. I believe they're going to rise to the occasion. You have Deshaun Watson. He's going to be fired up because he's been doing nothing for 2 years. And he, Ian, I think you pointed this out earlier. He's been chomping at the bit to get out there. Well, here you go, buddy. You're out there now. So you have that whole angle. And then to throw this on top of it, it's just, I almost don't have words. I don't have words for this. It's hopefully that, it's not on our TV screens, and I doubt it will be, but we're going to see videos of it. Like, we're, across Twitter, there's going to be cell phone cameras. If it's not on TV, it's going to be all over Twitter. You can count on that. But to me, I just want, and we're going to talk about this game. I just want to get through this game and get on with our lives, right?
Yeah.
So, just a couple other news and notes. This was just something kind of awesome. Jacoby Brissett, he's such a likable guy. I could think of a lot of I can't name all the quarterbacks the Cleveland Browns have had since 1999. Mikey, maybe you can. There's been a lot of them. But Jacoby Brissett ranks up there in the top 5 for me, definitely. Statistically likable. He's just a likable guy. Well, I don't know if you guys saw, I'm pretty sure you did. You saw his news conference. He said, in the words of Tom Brady, that was effing awesome. And he just had this big smile on his face. I just thought that was the perfect way for Jacoby Brissett to end his season this year. Now, he's still going to be a teammate, and he's going to be supportive on the sidelines. There's no question about that. But as far as playing time, unless something happens, his 2022 season is over. And I just thought that what a great way to send him off than to get a win against the Buccaneers and that awesome press conference that he had. He's happy, man. And I just wish him the best of luck moving forward. What did you guys think about Jacoby Brissett? just him as a person and as a quarterback. Ian, I'll start with you.
I think Jacoby Brissett is the nice guy at the table. Like, he's always been the nice guy. Very, very different switch from Baker Mayfield. You know what I mean? Like the loudmouth, kind of childish type QB, not grown up yet. Jacoby was a leader. He was a very nice guy, very humble dude. The type of guy that you want on your team, and I'll leave it with this. I even told my wife this the other day. Jacoby Brissett will get. I worry, and I know a lot of fans are like, oh, bring him back. Trust me, dude. If he comes back and there's nothing else on the table that's better than our offer to come back as Deshaun's backup, he'll come back to Cleveland. He likes playing here, but I do worry, and I'm pretty much almost positive there's a team next year that is going to pick this dude up like freaking hotcakes because he showed that he can pick up the football. And be a starter if need be. And at the end of the day, when you look at his stats, the defense was really the issue a lot of those games. Jacoby made a pick or two, and one or two of them games might have been because of Jacoby. But for the most part, the defense did not help him at all. Stat-wise, we could have been like an 11-0 football team if we had the right defense, guys, and that's the way Jacoby was playing.
He orchestrated a top 5 offense in the league. Maybe orchestrated is the wrong word, but he led that offense, a top 5 offense in the entire National Football League. You can name all 32 starting quarterbacks, and Jacoby Brissett, he's going to be up there. He really is. And not only his play on the field, but just his attitude. He's a locker room guy. He's a team guy. You never have to worry about him getting in trouble or saying anything negative. I believe that, I'm not in the building, but I believe that, film study, he's in those rooms. He's coachable. Just everything about Jacoby Brissett I liked, and I have to say I was surprised because I didn't really know Jacoby Brissett until he was in a Browns uniform. I knew him, but I didn't really pay attention to him. But what a breath of fresh air for the Browns. Even though our record's 4-7, like you said, Ian, not the offense's fault, really. If the defense played just a little bit better, you can probably put 3 more wins on there easily. We could easily be 7-4, just as much as we are at 4-7.
Easily.
So, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mikey P.
I think you said it perfectly. Jacoby did everything that this team and organization asked him to do for 11 games. He put his heart and soul out there. He gave us ample opportunities to win games. We should have definitely won some more games for him. Defense had some issues. We had a breakdown at the end of the Jets game that caused it. But, Jacoby did what you asked him to do. Like, if you would have told me at the beginning of the season what the top 5 offense and Jacoby stats and how he would have played, I would have said, oh, we can go 7-4. If he does that, then we're going to go 7-4 in those 11 games. Unfortunately, we went 4-7. But it's not to anything Jacoby did, not any of his fault. Jacoby was a stand-up guy, man, and he was a perfect guy. And he's a fan. I'm a fan of his for life at this point. Like, wherever he goes, if he's our backup next year, I'll root for him. If he's a starter somewhere else, I'm going to hope he does well, except when he plays the Browns. But I really hope, I was watching that Colts game last night and saying, the Colts are in a tough situation where they're probably not going to get to pick a top tier guy. And I'm like, man, they had a guy that, Jacoby's he's a perfect bridge type quarterback. Like, he's the guy that gets you to your top tier guy. And I think he can make a nice little career and make some coin to do it. But he's a solid quarterback. Like, he's not going to lose you games. He does what you ask of him. And he's not going to make that back-breaking mistake.
Well, let's talk about the Browns and Bucs games. Now, Bucs game, we had weird things going against us. We talked about this last week. Somebody broke into First Energy Stadium, did donuts on the field. We saw evidence of that during the game. I thought the field crew did a great job of patching and repairing to where it was playable. We saw a skunk in the fourth quarter at First Energy Stadium as well. There was a lot of things that happened. Like, I'm glad we won this game and we didn't lose with the skunk, because that you could just imagine how much that would have been on Twitter, even, more than it is now. But the Browns beat the Bucs. It was a great game. Jacoby Brissett, 23 of 37 for 210 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 INT, which really wasn't his fault. I mean, he threw it up. Was that towards the end of the second quarter?
That was a Hail Mary at the end.
It was like a Hail Mary. Yeah.
So, it's not really not a turnover, just, checking it up, and, they came down with it.
But I thought he was accurate in this game. Like the throws the completions he did make were accurate. They're on the money. He even threw some balls that should have been caught. The one that off the top of my head is the Amari Cooper. I mean, we never see that. It was right in his hands, and he missed the catch. So he had a great game, I thought. Nick Chubb, here we go, guys. Nick Chubb gets the ball over 20 carries, and the Browns win. Nick Chubb carried the ball for 26 times for 116 yards, a touchdown. He had that long run for 28 yards. Schwartz, what'd you guys think about Schwartz? We see him in there. I think this is why the Browns wanted him, definitely wanted him, was for his speed. And we saw that. Was that the first quarter with the end around? And
it was the first drive of the game.
First drive of the game. I mean, we're like, Schwartz, what the hell? Where have you been? Ian, what'd you think about that, man?
I mean, that was the fourth or fifth time they've tried that with him, and it just worked. But hey, speaking of what you just mentioned, did y'all see that block Jacoby got on that play? Jacoby bodied a dude on the down blocking on that play from Schwartz, dude. That was awesome to watch. But maybe, dare I say, gentlemen, maybe we have a late bloomer. I mean, we'll see. Obviously, time will tell. These next 6 games, especially. But if Deshaun can get that guy involved and utilize his speed, I mean, that play was what you just said, Jason, what they drafted him for. If I can see more of that and less brick hands, maybe we have a late bloomer on our hands, guys. That's all I will say.
Yeah, so. I think you're right. I think that's what I think that's what he is. And not to forget, just an FYI, the Browns are now 2-0 with rodents in attendance. Let us not forget about the possum and now the skunk. So I don't know that the skunk is defined as a true rodent, but with animals in attendance at First Energy, the Browns are 2-0. So next home game versus the Ravens, let's make sure we get some kind of animal disturbance in the stadium for sure.
And what I'll say too, guys, is I was really happy and thankful we won, because I already started seeing the tweets coming out. Oh, that's so Cleveland. Just think about the connection between the skunk and if we lost. I mean, it would have been the Browns, the skunk. I mean, as a Cleveland loyal fan, I was just so happy we won. What you're talking about, Mikey, was 2-0 versus we're 1-1, and people are just roasting us because there was a skunk and we stink. So thankful that the skunk was actually the good luck. And we ended up beating the goats, so I can't complain. Can't lie to you guys.
Mm-mm.
When did you guys? There was never a moment in this game where I was comfortable. Like, I was on the edge of my seat the whole entire game. I mean, the Browns go down and they march right down just like per usual, score a touchdown, first drive. The Bucs then on their first possession, if I'm not mistaken, they go right back down, score a touchdown. After the first quarter, the Browns find themselves up 10-7, but you look to the other side of the field and you got Tom Brady, he's seen these kinds of games before, and he usually comes out of the winning side, on the winning side of this. At halftime, it was tied 10-10. This was just a wild game. I mean, the fourth quarter was really the highlight of the whole game. What did the Browns go, like an hour without scoring any type of points?
Yep.
It was a while. I mean,
yeah, 1 hour.
It was a long time. And the crazy part about that game is going into that fourth quarter with 2 minutes left in the game, Tom Brady was like 218-0 as a starting quarterback, went up by 7 points or more in the fourth quarter. It's the first time he's ever lost a game when leading by 7 points or more with less than 2 minutes. That's just an insane stat.
And the announcer brought up probably 3 or 4 times that Tom Brady has thrown for 58 yards in his entire career, and that's the amount of miles. 58 miles in his whole career, and that's how many miles it is from Cleveland to Canton, for the Hall of Fame. How many times did they say that? 3? I don't think anybody thought the Browns were going to win this game, but luckily the Browns, they just came out and played. Like, that's the style of football that I like to see, is what we saw on Sunday. It was gritty. It was ugly at times. It wasn't pretty. But at the end of the day, man, what I'm just proud of is that fourth quarter, they could have packed it in. Like, they really could have packed it in. But they made, David Njoku, Ian, you talked about it in the beginning of the show. David Njoku on, 4th and 9 in the back of the end zone, reaches up with his left hand and hauls it in. Like, if he doesn't do that, the game's over at that point. Just amazing.
Yeah. That catch, I'm still in awe of that catch. just catch.
It was just one of those games, like you said, Jason. You were never comfortable. You never thought. With a 4-game losing streak, we doubted ourselves. I'm sure we doubted ourselves as fans. Like, I didn't think it was possible. And even when it got to overtime, I was like, you guys, I wanted them to go for 2. And then when it went to overtime and they got the ball first, I was like, oh, here we go. This is how it always goes for Browns fans. The one time Brady drives down the field is the most important time, when you end up losing, because he drives the field, he scores 6, and the game's over. But when we stopped him, I remember looking at my wife and I said, this could be good. This could be good. This is a good thing for us, because if you stop the GOAT and you give your offense a chance, you got Nick Chubb wanting to be the hero on the sideline. Your odds are going to be, great all the way through. But just a great, it was just such the catch by Njoku, and just the way the defense stepped up and played. Myles Garrett finally did what I've been basically critiquing him on this show, but weekly. He did what a TJ Watt does. He did what an Aaron Donald does. He took over that game, man. And that's what you need from your star player, man. So it's good to see Myles is getting back into the groove of things. And if we can get that Myles every week, guys, I would bet money on Cleveland every week, whoever our opponent was. And that's the bottom line for real. It's the truth.
I don't know if you guys noticed this, but even after the game, during the game, that's the first time I've ever seen Joe Woods animated on the sideline. He was actually a person. And I think sometimes these guys, they button themselves up. They kind of toe the corporate, almost like corporate. At the end of the day, it's football, man. Show the fire and the passion, because players feed off of that. They will feed off of that. If you're always that stoic, boring, vanilla type, that's the type of your players are going to give off that vibe. I feel like he was moving around throughout the game. You'd see him pump his fist after plays. You could honestly tell he cared. And I feel like his players were showing they bought in and cared too. I don't know, if something, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but there was Marty Schottenheimer. There was a gleam, man. There was a gleam. There's just something that resonated. And I'm not saying that saved Joe Woods' job. Is he still the best defensive coordinator for this team? I don't know. That's for the front office to decide after the end of the season. But I don't know, just something about that game, man. I want to see that every week. Be fired up, man. Don't be afraid to show your real emotions. Emotions are real. Let them out.
You're so right. And I remember what you're talking about. They showed Joe Woods on the sideline. He was fist pumping. He was excited. I've never actually seen that side of him. And to see that during this game, during the Bucs game, when so much has been talked about the defense, was really good to see. And like you, Mikey, I don't know if he's the right guy for the job. I think these last 6 games are very important for his future with this football team. But it was good to see on Sunday. There are so many players to highlight. We talked about David Njoku. We talked about Nick Chubb, Jacoby Brissett, Martin Emerson, basically shutting down Mike Evans. He was all over him the whole entire game. I mean, how many games have we seen Mike Evans? We're all in fantasy football. Like, he's a game wrecker. He is. And him and Tom Brady have connected a lot. Chris Godwin, another one. For the most part, I'm not going to say we totally shut him down, but as far as what the Bucs normally do, that didn't look like the normal Bucs team that we're used to seeing on Sunday. And Amari Cooper, he did drop that one pass, but in overtime he catches that wide open 46-yard catch that almost turned into a touchdown. Like that. When I saw that play, like when that happened, I was jumping up and down, screaming like, "Oh my gosh!" And part of me was like, "Okay, but Cade York has to kick a field goal. We just saw him miss one, and we'll get into that." But so I wasn't 100% confident. But then Nick Chubb just finished it off with a 5-yard run, and it was a walk-off TD, man, in overtime against the Bucs. And they were talking about a tie ball game, like Tom Brady's never been in a tie ball game before. I was like, oh my gosh, don't let this be the first one. But the Browns finished off the game, and it was just a great day to be a Browns fan. I woke up Monday just excited for work, drinking my coffee. And it wasn't a typical Monday. I was just happy. And Sunday, I was just happy. And we don't get to feel that way very often as fans of the Cleveland Browns. And it was nice to feel that way this past weekend, to finish off our Thanksgiving Day weekend, by the way.
Absolutely.
Brian says, Mikey P looks like he's in Santa's workshop this episode.
I am. I got the I got the Christmas tree right behind me.
Oh, Brian. Such a kidder.
Hey, tell me that's going to be a guest host in the offseason, Jason. Is that guy that's
100,000%. Like 100%. It's got to happen.
But only if he sings and dances at the same time.
Yes. Well, he doesn't have to, but it sure would be fun if he did. Final thoughts on the Bucs game, Mikey. I'll turn it over to you.
I mean, final thoughts. It was I never like saying a must win. It was a can't lose. And they didn't lose. They won the game. They pulled it out. They showed that the offense could show up when it needed to and made key plays. They got down in a game and came back. The defense played well throughout. They weren't gashed by the running game all day long. They made plays when they needed to. Guys that stepped up. I mean, Newsom was out. You had a Thomas Graham that got called up off the practice squad. He played his ass off. I thought he did really well. Emerson played amazing. I thought at times the safeties, they didn't, we had a couple. There was one blown coverage at the end of the fourth quarter there that almost cost us. But I mean, all in all, I thought it was a solid performance by everybody. And, we're on to the final 6 games. Will we make the playoffs? I don't know. But we got 6 games to at least build something for next year. Hey,
the odds say that we have a 7% chance to make the playoffs. So there is a chance. A slight chance, but there's a chance. And we're going to talk a little bit about playoff scenarios in a minute. But, Ian, I want to get your final thoughts on this game and what a game it was. The Browns improved the record to 4-7. We're now in the conversation for in the hunt in the playoffs, which is much more than we thought last week, But what were your thoughts for this game?
I mean, my thoughts were I was shocked that we pulled off the win. I mean, I figure if you had to win one game, I mean, it goes back to my theory last week or 2 weeks ago when I said this and I picked the Browns, but I ended up losing. Browns are always good for one game they have no business winning. And this year was the Buccaneers. This was the Buccaneers game. You guys know damn well there's always one game during the year that we think, and that's what I thought originally. I thought we had no shot. And we damn beat the GOAT. And there's players specifically for me. I got to be honest with you, fellas. I told my wife this afternoon. My verdict is standing. One of my favorite players is Amari Cooper. That guy is he was awesome to watch Sunday because he did what we've all seen as Browns fans when he dropped that ball. How many times have we seen that moment with players all the fucking time, right? Because we're Browns fans. We're used to this. But Cooper made up for it completely, shook it off, came through on that. To be honest with you, Jason, it should have been a touchdown. I would have loved it for him to have scored on that play. But that dude, if you watch his press conferences, I don't know if y'all, are feeling the same vibe I am. Week after week, man, I just keep falling for this guy, man. I'm like, dude, we got him for a 5th round. He was an absolute steal. But his attitude and just the way he plays the game, he's so humble. He's a God guy. I love a good Christian man. He thanks God all the time when he plays well. But that guy, and then I'd say Emerson on the D, was absolutely phenomenal to watch. I love that rookie week by week impressing me by just being that big body they drafted, that big, just swatting that ball, hitting that boy where they dropped the ball. Emerson and Cooper are my guys. That game was just awesome to watch, and it's getting us ready for Deshaun's arrival. Nothing like a good win to set yourself up for, an amazing quarterback about to play for the Browns. So that's all I'll really say. And I'll set it up with this. I got a little spin for you guys. I'll try to do my best D-Generation X. But Browns fans out there, this is very important. This is the Cold Train talking to you tonight, all right? I got one question for you. Are you ready? I said, are you ready for the millions that'll be watching that game at home, for the thousands that'll be in attendance on Sunday at 1 o'clock in Houston, Texas? The Cleveland Browns represent and give to you Deshaun Watson, number 4, quarterback of the Browns, baby. And gentlemen, I cannot wait to see this guy in the field. I don't even care if he has a couple of jimbo-jamble, couple series where he's getting used to the speed of the game. I think we're going to see some flash and some magic that we know from this dude. I think he's going to score a lot of touchdowns. So it's just, not necessarily this game, but just overall in the 6 games. As a Browns fan, I'm dying. Great Buccaneers win to set up the man, Deshaun, to take over for this team. I'm so excited about it, guys. So I had to make my spin for you.
I think as the who is it that said it? Bart Scott, after the Jets beat the Ravens to play the Patriots. Can't wait. And that's how I feel about this game and these last 6 games. Can't wait.
I mean, I thought about this a couple days ago. Like, who was the last Browns quarterback that was like Deshaun Watson, a dual threat, like has a tremendous arm, accurate, and he can also get it done on the ground? Like, who was the last Browns quarterback that we had like that?
Never.
Yeah, I couldn't think of one.
I mean, we had
Deshaun Kaiser. What do you want me to talk about, man?
Johnny Football.
I mean, RG3, Seneca Wallace. We had those guys.
Yeah.
But Deshaun blows them out of the water. Like,
yeah,
we've never. That's what's exciting, Ian. I'm with you, brother. I'm excited. Like we've never seen this type of quarterback in Cleveland ever. So. Somebody laughed. I said Johnny Manziel. I mean, that's who I came up with. I'm like, but he wasn't accurate, but he could scramble and make things happen. I mean, Baker Mayfield was a little bit like that, but he wasn't fast. I mean, we just haven't had a player like this. So we're all in for a treat. And I think
got my Johnny.
Got your Johnny. I actually have a Johnny Football shirt in my drawer. It doesn't fit me anymore, but I have one. So we're all in for a treat, and I can't wait to see it. Let's move on. Mikey P, tell us about Underdog Fantasy.
Speaking of Underdog Fantasy, we are a proud partner with Underdog. Underdog, of course, is the easiest place to play fantasy football. If you're like most people and you love to play daily fantasy, and you also want to win some cold hard cash, Underdog Fantasy is definitely for you. Underdog is going to match your initial deposit up to $100 by using promo code 216. So you deposit $50. That, of course, becomes $100 to play in Underdog Fantasy. Just remember, you got to use promo code 216 and make some money. And who doesn't need money right now? It's the Christmas holiday season. So start playing now. Cash in, baby.
Everybody needs some cash. And what better way to do it than winning in fantasy football? All right, let's talk about playoffs. Playoffs? You're talking playoffs? I want to talk about a couple scenarios. I just want to look ahead the next couple weeks. That's it. And of course, all of this stems on the Browns winning the next 2 weeks. But I have a couple scenarios here. So let's say the Browns win the next two. And the Browns they're on the road, at Texans, at Bengals. Both of them are winnable games. Now, the Bengals are playing great as of late. They have Jamar Chase coming back, but the Browns, for whatever reason, have their number. So if the Browns can win the next two and the Bengals lose the next two, and they play the Chiefs this week, it's in Cincinnati, but that's going to be a tough game. The Chiefs are a tough team, and they're playing very well right now. That would put the Bengals 7-6. The Browns will be 6-7. Then you're only talking about you're one game behind Cincinnati, and that's just the next 2 weeks. We'd still have 4 games to go after that to see what happens. Then you look at the Ravens, because the Ravens are essentially tied with the Bengals right now at 7-4. If the Ravens can go 1-1, now this is a tough ask, because their next 2 games are against the Broncos at home and then at Steelers. But if they can somehow lose one of those 2 games and then lose to the Browns the next game, so this will be 3 games looking forward, the Ravens will be 8-6 and the Browns will be 7-7. Guys, it's fun as fans to think about the possibilities of playoffs. When you're a football player, it's always just about the next game, and you stack as most wins as possible, and then you look and see where you're at the end of the year. What's our highest probability? Like, what's the best path to make the playoffs? Is it to steal a wild card spot, to slip in there, or is it the division winner? Mikey P, I'll start with you.
You got 6 games left. All you do is you tell your team, if this is what I'm telling them, if I'm Stefanski, is we take it 1 game at a time. We put 1 win together each week. Our ultimate goal is to get to 6. Our goal is finish 10-7. That's our goal, to finish 10-7. And then everything else from there, we let it play itself out. Like, because you're going to need some losses that happen by teams. And if they happen, it happens. But best case scenario, obviously, is you finish 10-7, some teams lose, and you sneak a wild card spot in out of there, or you sneak the division in out of there. I think the division is probably the one that's more attainable looking at everyone's schedule. Just because, you have the Ravens in there. You could catch the Ravens because you have 1 game at least against them. You have 1 game against Pittsburgh. You have 1 game against Cincinnati still. So at least 3 of those 6 games are against divisional opponents. And then you just, like I said, you focus on going 10-7. And worst case scenario is you finish 10-7, you miss the playoffs, but you've built something going in the next year.
Yes.
You know what you have going in the next year, and the energy is there. And then what that does is that lets free agents that are looking at, they're like, ooh, Deshaun Watson's over there. I could take, maybe I could take $1.5 million less a year if I can go play with that team, if they look like they're close to competing for a Super Bowl. Because that's how a lot of these players, they start looking at it. Like, they like their money, but at the end of the day, like, these guys are competitors. They want to win too.
I 100% agree with you, Mikey P. I even texted myself a note to talk about that on the show, and you actually talked. I'd forgotten about it. I didn't put it in the show notes, but if you win your last 6 games, which is a big ask, right? I mean, you play at Texans, which we should win that game. At Bengals, that's going to be tough. Ravens is going to be tough. Saints is going to be maybe tough. Washington's playing well. Steelers are starting to figure some things out. To win the last 6 games is going to be tough. But if they were to do that, if they were to finish the season off strong, you're right. Even if we miss the playoffs, we're going to go in the offseason with feeling good about ourselves. We're going to know what our team is going to look like in 2023. Free agents are going to go, man, I want to be a part of that. Something special has happened over in Cleveland. So nothing but good can happen by us finishing up this year off strong. And is it possible we make the playoffs? Maybe, but we got to take care of our business first. Ian, do you have anything to add with that, or?
I was just looking at it with you fellas. Jason, you're exactly right with the first 3 games. If we can get past those first 3 games, and then you're looking at, like, I'm really worried about the Bengals and Ravens. I'm not worried about the Steelers. I just think they're trash. But if we can get past that, look at your last 3: Saints, Washington, and Steelers. Dude, that you know what I mean? If that was the first 3 games, I'd say we were going to start off 3-0. So your schedule, there's some chance. It's a luck of chance, guys. I guess we hope in the Browns' favor that you have to win every week. You have to win every week. But you hope and pray that the teams that are ahead of you in that, wild card race, and that's why I think, legitimately to answer your question, I think we're more looking at a wild card. I think you can get in at 10-7. The way teams are playing, realistically, you can still get in at 10-7. I do believe that. So with that said, we have to win every week. There's absolutely, and that's why I said even on the show in the beginning of the show, Jason, we live to fight on another week. I mean,
yes,
you lose a game right away or in this next couple of weeks that you have to go 2-0. What you're talking about, you have to beat the Texans, you got to beat the Bengals. Just to get a little firm ground in the division. But if you do get past those 2 games, then I feel really, really good about this 4-0. You get what I'm saying?
A lot better.
You got to get past those 2 games or that 3. But guys, let's just not forget, man. I know a lot of Browns fans, half of the fan base, like, oh, you guys are crazy. We're not winning now. But man, just got to admit, with Watson back there now, you got your franchise guy. It's possible. The team around Watson is pretty good. And if our defense can play like they've been playing, like when we win good, like I said, you never know. So like I said, we live to fight on another week. Got to beat the Texans, man. And then, like I said, we'll take this show and this, I guess, last of my conversation, 1 week at a time and just chill on that. But we have to win every week and just hope these other teams fall. And that's the thrill of the game at the end of the season. Like Mikey's saying, you'll either be left out or you might get a chance to grasp onto one of them 10-7 spots that gets you into the wild card. And maybe we won a tiebreaker or 2 against another team. That's all we can really hope.
Well, that journey starts in Houston this week. The 4-7 Browns take on the 9-1. They tied a game this year. Texans in Houston. The Browns are favored by 7. And the over-under is set at 47. The Texans are 0-4-1 at home this year and are on a 6-game losing streak. Guys, they are tanking. And they're also hoping that we tank. So, because they have our first-round pick this year. So, from a draft perspective, I guess the Texans hope that we tie this game. I mean, I guess that would be the best case scenario for them. Mm-hmm. But the Browns are 1-4 in away games. They're coming off a strong win we just talked about against the Bucs. Guys, every statistical category, you look at points per game, the Texans are 31st. Points allowed per game, they're 23rd. Yards per game, they're 32nd. Like, this is a bad football team. We usually do players to watch, and I had a hard time formulating a list. I really did. Now, this is football. It's any given Sunday, and we're 4-7. Like, we're not the Buffalo Bills. We're not the Philadelphia Eagles. We're the Cleveland Browns, and we've been struggling. But this game, with Deshaun Watson coming back, I just don't see a scenario where the Browns lose this football game. What are your guys' opening thoughts?
Yeah, there's no way we lose this game because the team in itself, we're getting Houston at a good time, but the game in itself, I think, will mean more for Deshaun than it means for any of us. He wants to go in his old home. I still believe there's some shady stuff that went on behind the scenes that he and that organization both know about, that the organization did behind the scenes that wasn't right. And there's some stuff that, they're doing that's wrong. But this is a game. This is not just a revenge game for Deshaun. This is just like to prove and show the world he is that $230 million contract type of guy. He's not going to be a Russell Wilson, just total meltdown and dumpster fire that he is right now. That's what he's going to try to portray and do in this game. And I can't think of a better warm-up game for Deshaun to get back to the speed of the game, back to the just flow of the game, the TDs, everything, than this Houston matchup. And that's why I'm so happy it's Houston first and then the Bungles, because I would not have wanted to play Burrow, McShiesty or whatever they call him over there. I would not have wanted to play him where Deshaun literally hasn't played for a year and a half. But I mean, man.
When you look at the Houston Texans, we're all fantasy football players here. I can't name one player on the Houston Texans that I would want on my fantasy football team. Maybe Brandon Cooks. I mean, Brandon Cooks, I'd want him on my bench. Yeah. I mean, I would never start Brandon Cooks. The running backs, it's all by committee. I mean, they're all garbage. Kyle Allen, I mean, I don't know, man. Is this a trap game, Mikey P, or the Browns? I mean, we can't lose this game, right?
No, I don't. It's not a trap game. I mean, there's going to be a lot of focus around this. The team is going to be dialed. The team is definitely going to be dialed in and have a lot of extra energy this week. Where you could, the good thing is that you follow it up. If you look at the way the schedule lays out, there's not really there could be a trap game later in the year, but the way that the way the schedule lays out, if you look at it this way, we have Houston, going to be a lot of publicity, big talk around this game. Division rival Cincinnati the next week. Division rival Ravens the following week. Followed up with a Christmas Eve game. Everybody's going to be pumped to play on Christmas Eve against the Saints at home. Then you got a New Year's Day game, pumped up to play New Year's Day in Washington.
You'll be there.
And then you finish it up with division rival Pittsburgh. There should be none of those I call trap games. You should be dialed in at this point, the last 6 games of the year. And I will be there on January 1st.
And side note, too, you made me think of that as a season ticket holder. Obviously, I know because I have the tickets. That Ravens game is TBD. When they do that, that means if we do go 2-0 and what the scenarios that you're talking about, Jason, happens, they could very well change to a 4 or a primetime game. I mean, they can do whatever the hell they want, but they'll flex that in. They can even flex it into a Saturday if they want. Yeah. That TBD means business, and I've been looking at that all along, just because that was like that one. They're hoping the division race is going crazy.
Yeah, I mean, because they've even said that they could wait up until, I think they have till the 15th to decide what games get flexed that day. And the Ravens and the Browns is one of them. There's going to be 3 games on that Saturday, which sounds like they're going to be 3 prime NFL Network games. Yeah. So the Browns could get flexed to one of those 3 spots. We will see, but that definitely could happen. It could be a Saturday or it could be a Sunday 1:00 game.
For my pleasure, I hope we go 2-0, Jason. To your point, because it might be a more exciting game for me because it's at home. So that's what's good.
I mean, if the Browns win the next 2 and the Ravens go 1-1 the next 2 games, which again, that's tough. I mean, it's Broncos and Steelers. I think if that happens, it could get flexed because we would be a lot closer to the Ravens at that point. I mean, that would be a big game for both clubs.
Absolutely.
For them to, for the Ravens, I mean, to stay close with the Bengals, we have to see what they do. They're kind of intertwined in this as well. What do the Bengals do the next 2 weeks? But yeah, these next 2 games are crucial for the Cleveland Browns. And then, of course, we have to look and see what other teams do. It's not a good place to be, but that's where we're at. All right, we got about 2 minutes. Let's get into our prediction time. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. For those of you watching on YouTube, you can do no greater what word am I looking for? No greater compliment. Compliment the show. Sorry. Ian usually does this plug, but if you see you're not subscribed to Network 216 on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It would definitely help out the network and the show. Prediction time, we predict the Browns and the rest of the AFC North. We have 4 games to predict, so we have to move on through this. The Barking Browns show is on next. We're going to start with Chiefs at Bengals. Coltrane, we'll start with you. Who's going to win and what's the score?
We'll do Chiefs 24, Bengals 17.
Home with the Chiefs. Did
Yep.
you say 24-17?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Mikey P?
I'm going to go Bengals 34, Chiefs 31.
You say
Okay.
Bengals winning? Wow.
Okay. I'm also
All
picking
right.
the Chiefs. So, Mikey, you can pick up a point here or just straight up lose a point. I'm going 31-28 Chiefs because the Browns need them to win. That's what we need to happen. So, all right, Bengals at Ravens. The Ravens are favored by 8.5 points. Ian, I think you pointed out earlier, maybe it was you, Mikey P, that Russell Wilson's playing like dog dookie.
Yeah.
The Broncos just are not a good football team right now. The Ravens stumbled last week against the – they did not stumble. Yes, they did. They just lost to the Jaguars. Holy crap. All right, who do you got in this? Mikey P.
I'm going to go with I'm going to say Ravens come out pissed off this week, win 27-14, and the Broncos Let's Ride has become Broncos fans Let's Die.
I have the Ravens also winning this 29-10. So they will cover the points and get the win. The Ravens will. Ian, what's your prediction?
Yeah, I'll go Ravens 30, Broncos 14. I mean, it really, I'll just say real quickly, it's sad of the Russell Wilson. Who would have thought, man? I just,
Never
every
would have
week,
thought
It's spicy.
it's just, the Let's Ride ended up being his curse. It's horrible.
that. Oh, my gosh.
I think it was the Danger Witch.
Steelers at Falcons. The Steelers are favored in this game by 1.5 points. It's in Atlanta. I'll start this one. I have Atlanta beating the Steelers 28-24. So that's my prediction there. Mikey, Coltrane, you're next.
Oh, we must think alike because I also had the Falcons at 28-24. In ATL.
How about that?
Yeah.
Great minds think
ATL.
alike. Mikey P.
I'm going to go Atlanta and the Dirty Birds 27, Pittsburgh 20.
Okay, we all real close there. All right, this is the game we're all worried about. This is why viewers are watching this show. The Browns are favored by 7 at Texans. Deshaun Watson's debut as a Cleveland Brown. The era has started in Cleveland. Coltrane, we'll start with you. Who's going to win and what's the score?
I think the Browns will win. What a lot of people don't understand is Deshaun has been able to practice the last couple of weeks. Stefanski's already been tuning up a lot of scripted stuff for that matchup. I would say Browns 35. I think Chubb gets in there a couple times too. And Texans 10.
35-10. So a nice close one for you, Coltrane. All right.
Yeah.
Mikey P, you're next.
I'm going to say it's a little closer than we probably think. I'm going to go Browns 22, Houston 14.
Okay. And I also have the Browns winning this one 38-17. And MC Lawrence, I'm going to write your score prediction down, buddy, because you're a friend of the show. MC Lawrence says Browns 42-19. If they get that, if that exact score happens, MC Lawrence, we're going to send you a Browns hoodie from Homage for free. So I'm writing that down. MC Lawrence 42-19.
For free.
For free. All right. Well, final thoughts on the show and the Barking Brown show is next. I got Broncos on my mind. Why do I have Broncos on my mind? Ian, final thoughts on the show tonight.
I'm ready, fellas. I'm just ready. I'm ready as a fan. I've been waiting for this. Obviously, the 6-game suspension would have been great. When it changed to 11, I've been waiting even longer. As you fellas know, I have a 110-inch projection screen now for the debut of this guy to play football. So, I hope the football gods are good to us. Let this guy be who we paid him the money for. who we did all this stuff just to bring him here. Let him be the guy to take this team to the heights that we've always wanted it to go. And I'll leave with that. Let him be the guy, Lord. Please.
Okay. And before we get into your final thought, Patrick O'Connor, you're in the same boat as MC Lawrence. 28-12 Browns. If that exact score happens, you're going to get a hoodie. So I'm going to write that down as well, Patrick. And go on our Twitter page, at Yard Dawgs Pod. We're going to do that same contest on Twitter Sunday morning. We're going to give away a free Browns hoodie from Homage, our sponsor. If you get the exact score prediction, you're going to get that hoodie just in time for Christmas. So, Mikey P, final thoughts on the show.
Final thoughts. It's good coming off a win. Let's put a string of wins together and let's just finish. Let's finish strong, baby. Finish strong.
Yes. And my final thought is Sunday's going to be crazy. It's setting up to be a 3-ring circus with Tony Busby and what he's doing. And, the Houston Texans, Deshaun Watson used to play for him. It's his first game back. He's playing against them in a different uniform. It's just the whole thing is setting up to be a circus. So the fans are going to be crazy. There's going to be probably people with protest signs and things like that. So the best remedy for that is the Browns to go in that building and put them away early. That's what I want to see happen. I want to see the Browns put them away early, maybe like 21-3 going into halftime, something like that, because that'll shut everybody up. And we can get through this game. Everybody gets through it healthy, and we move on to Cincinnati for next week. So, guys, it's been a great show. Barking Browns is coming up next on Network 216, so stick around for that. We have Watson coming back. Ian Coltrane's got his jersey on. It's ready. Mikey P's ready for the game. I'm ready for the game. I got my Myles Garrett shirt on. He's going to wreak havoc against Kyle Allen and the Houston Texans on Sunday. So, guys, we're ready. I'm excited. Go Browns. I like to end all of our podcasts with a Go Browns. So, Ian Coltrane, Mikey, if you'll join me on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Go Browns.
Go Browns.